Welcome back. I will, I'm sure I. Hi, I'm Edinburgh. Joe?
No, I forgot. Oh, I know.
Looks like you've been there forever. I don't know about that. Got an extra.
How you doing? Great.
That's great.
Yeah, I am too. Got everybody? Okay.
Nobody do that.
Well, tonight is a work session of the Elizabethtown City Council, and it's good to see all of you here. Thank you and welcome. Mr. Bishop will lead us in prayer.
Let me pray. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all the blessings that you bestowed upon us. We ask that you be with our community, be with all of our employees as they go about doing their daily service for our city and our residents. We ask that you be with them. We ask that you watch over all the sick and shut in and those families who have lost loved ones. We ask that you be with us this evening, watch over us, guide us, and direct us. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Do we have any scouts in the audience? Okay, then I'll lead us in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one topic on our agenda tonight. I know you all have no idea, do you? I think it's something about Knights of Columbus. Woodland Drive, Cardinal Drive project. And Mr. Reynolds, do you want to start that?
Thank you. First thing I want to do, I've got a pretty little map for us, is kind of show you all where we are right now. I'm going to walk away from the podium. Don, I might have you get the lights so they can see it a little bit better, if you don't mind. Yeah, I'm ready. This hatching color that you all see on the map is what the hospital owns currently. That's their properties throughout. Of course, let me get you oriented. Here's Dixie Highway. Here's Cardinal Drive. Here's Woodland Drive. Just to kind of get you all oriented. Lehman Lanes up here, Mercer, Long, and Hill Street are in there as well. So I wanted to start off just by talking how's traffic get around right now, and kind of see if you all agree with the way that I understand traffic get around. If we're coming northbound on Dixie, we want to get on Woodland. Of course, we turn right here at this old intersection that's been that way for as far back as I can remember. I'm not as old as some people in the room, but as far back as I can remember, that's the way it's always been. Get up on Woodland Drive. If you're coming from Cardinal Drive and you want to go northbound onto Woodland, most people take Mercer right now. Would you all agree with that? The majority of the cars turn and go up Mercer. We have some that come here to Cardinal and Woodland and turn to go northbound. Majority of people take Mercer. And then coming from the south, I don't know how many people come down to this intersection and take and go up. So most of those people are probably getting onto Woodland someplace else. So that's kind of a big picture shot of where we are right now. So let me add on, I'm gonna turn, this thing's being a little evil with me here today. I'm gonna put the new Cardinal Drive extension, if it will pop up here.
Todd,
Yes, sir.
the basis for your comment about the traffic and the directions they're going, you have a traffic count that was done at one
Yes, sir.
particular point, don't you?
Yes, sir. In 2013, we went out and counted, the planning department and engineering departments together went out and counted traffic turn movements. I'm sorry, it's messing up. And let me, while that's doing that, we did turn movement counts at Woodland and Cardinal Drive. Over 3 days, we did it at 8:30 in the morning, 8:30 to 9:30, 11:45 to 12:45, and then again at 4:30 to 5:30. And the majority of the traffic that came to this intersection continues either to the hospital or turns right. There are some cars that turn left, but doing that traffic count and knowing the traffic numbers that are on Mercer, because in 2013, there was almost 1,800, 1,900 cars a day on Mercer. That was a count that the highway department did for us. Then we feel that that's the turn movements that are taking place. We also did, at that same time, we did turn movements on Mercer and Langman as well.
Dee says they're having a hard time hearing you back over here. Can you try to speak a little bit louder?
Sorry. So first time I've ever been told I'm too quiet. So just looking at the traffic counts and the way people were turning, we feel the majority of people are turning on Mercer.
Off of Wood,
Off of Cardinal.
off of Cardinal.
Cardinal left to go northbound on Woodland. That's what I'm saying. The movement to go north of this intersection.
It's coming
If you're on Cardinal coming towards Dixie
towards Dixie.
to go northbound on Woodland, the majority of the traffic turns on Mercer. We have not done, again, that was in 2013. We have not done traffic counts for long. We didn't do it for long. We just wanted to see how everybody was moving at that time. So,
And to clarify that, what you're saying is the traffic that might be coming from
Ring Road.
west
Ring Road,
on Cardinal, rather than going all the way to Woodland Drive, because those numbers are less than the numbers that
Yes, sir.
you're seeing on Mercer.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what we're trying to say. So I'm just trying to framework with what we've seen. That's all I'm trying to do, you all. It's not to sway anybody's decision or anything. I'm just trying to, this is kind of what everybody's doing. So what I've put on here now is the Cardinal Drive extension to Deeks. This is what we're looking at, is this blue line is going to be 3-lane wide Cardinal Drive extension from Helmwood Heights Elementary School to 31W. We create a cul-de-sac here at this odd intersection that we already have. And back when when the planning department looked at Woodland Drive many years ago, the people that lived there at that time were in favor of that. So we feel that that's a good, because that's a terrible intersection. And now with the lane diets, traffic backs up at peak times past that anyway. So we feel Cardinal Drive extension to the traffic signal, Deeks Drive. That, now this is, whether Woodland's open or closed, the traffic coming north from downtown is either going to turn at this intersection, or if I was driving it, if the left-hand turn signal is red and I have a green light to go straight, I'm going to go through that intersection and I'm going to turn here. I don't know. I might be the only one in the room that thinks that, but flow of traffic's I'm going to keep going north until I can turn.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
All right, if you're coming, a while ago, you said if you're coming from, Patriot Parkway
Yes, sir.
and you do want to get into that hospital corridor, you're saying that more people turn left onto Mercer currently than what goes down to Woodland and turns left?
Yes, sir.
Okay, vice versa, if you're coming from the other direction, do more people turn right onto Woodland, obviously, than they would to go down?
Yes.
Okay, so getting back into that corridor, do more people come this way or do more people come this way to get back in that corridor?
Are you asking, do more people come this way?
Well,
or-
you made a comment that more people use Mercer than use Woodland if you're coming from that direction.
From this direction?
So I guess my only comment is if you're coming from the other direction, more people use Woodland than they do Mercer.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I mean, I would think that more people are going to turn the closest place they can.
I agree with you.
And that's all I was trying to illustrate is how I feel traffic's moving right now.
I agree.
And is it perfect for everybody? No, because we all have different driving tendencies. If you're going right here to the hospital
Right.
or Wolf and Yunes, you're not going to use Mercer. So now we're looking at Cardinal Drive extension and trying to figure out how the turn movements are going to be. And with Woodland still open, you're either going to turn here to get on Woodland, or if you're going north of the hospital, you're going to come up here to Lehman Lane or Bankview or any of the other. I think there's one other besides Bankview to get on to Woodland. And like I said, I'm not trying to see which way is the right way. I'm going to trip over these here in a minute. So I'm just trying to paint the picture for us. So looking at this area, and like I said, the hospital owns the pink area. What we feel is the best solution if we close Woodland. So now let's say Woodland's closed. When it's closed, the best solution to get everybody on there is to do two things. Again, I'm sorry, this is going to take a minute. While that's coming up, I'm going to go ahead and tell you. The first thing we need to look at is improving Lehman Lane, because we feel more people are going to use Lehman Lane now to get onto Woodland Drive. And so I've talked with the state about making improvements, striping improvements on, as you can see those now. The left-hand turn right now, you have, looking at both directions, you have 2 lanes each direction, and then a left-hand turn lane or a center turn lane that's 2 different center turn lanes, and then a striped median. What we're looking at doing is bringing the left-hand turns all the way over into what they call left-hand turn pocket. You can see that they've done some of that here in town, Miles Street and Ring Road, where you really get all the way over, and then 62 around the interstates the same way. They really move you as far to the left as you can, so you have less lanes you have to turn against. So we've talked about doing that. Lehman Lane, we're talking about widen it here at this intersection with Dixie to 3 lanes. That'd be 1 lane in and 2 lanes out, so that people that are going southbound have an easier movement. Now, again, this is with Woodland closed. Have an easier movement coming south Woodland. They can turn on Lehman, turn right here because they'll have a right-hand pocket. So if we do have somebody turning left, the people turning right aren't getting backed up. Because we do have those counts as well for what's going on at that intersection, and very few left-hand turns.
Scott, would you just comment briefly on our conversation with the state regarding the possibility of a light there?
They are going to, they have what's called warrants for traffic signals. And those warrants have been around for years, and there's 12 or 13 of them. And the traffic volumes at this intersection right now would not warrant a signal. That does not mean that in the future that those warrants wouldn't be met. Now, as it's been pointed out, there is a warrant for what the general public wants or needs. So there is that warrant, but traffic volume numbers would not exist at this time.
You only have to fill one of those 12 warrants in order to.
They're in order.
They're in order.
Yes, sir.
know how many, what the traffic count has to be in order to fill the volume warrant?
It looks at, mainline traffic and left turns, and then sideline traffic and left turns. And that combination, and it's somewhere in the neighborhood of, and I'd hate to spout a number, but I'm going to 30,000 cars.
Okay, and with the numbers that you have now, what are our numbers there that you said that you all have done?
Just turn movements.
And I know we're talking ballpark numbers here.
Right. You know, in any 1 hour, we saw 60 cars on Lehman.
But you have not extrapolated that out yet.
No, because until we won't, I won't say we can't get that signal, but I would agree with the state. The best thing for us to do is to build it and then see if it's going to warrant it.
Assume we're gonna operate without it.
Yeah, we're going to change traffic
Change.
like crazy with this.
Yes.
So
And most of it that would be turning right, that would, and the
right-hand turns
ones,
don't count.
but I mean, the ones coming from, that's gonna be
Right-hand
turning
turns
on
don't count.
Lehman.
You turn right on red or.
On side streets, right-hand turns,
Yeah, but from
they might count a little bit, but they don't count the full as a
from
left-hand turn.
Dixie to,
Because
to
they're not going to
Lehman.
slow the traffic patterns down.
So what is the traffic flow on Woodland Drive? How many cars are on Woodland Drive?
I have that. At, and this is July of 14. In this area here, we're looking at 5,300 cars a day. Right here at this intersection, 5,700 cars a day. And then up at the bridge, so on Woodland past connections, we're looking at 6,300 cars a day.
There's no way to tell how many of those are hospital employees when you
No.
employ 2,000.
There's not
He's coming
any way.
back that way.
We would have to go out and,
You're right.
there's ways to do that.
Yeah.
There's ways to figure all that out. We just haven't done that study yet. That's a pretty intense study to figure out all the turn movements of everybody up and down this corridor, which we could do it. It's just, so going back to what we would like to do is these improvements to Lehman, widen Lehman out. It's 25 feet right now, 25 feet curb to curb. We'd look at widening that to 28 feet. Brand new curb and gutter, new sidewalks up and down that corridor. And then the other thing we'd like to do is create a new entrance to Woodland, whether we call it the Hill Street Extension or Lehman Lane Extension or Woodland Extension. There's all kinds of names we can put on it. But create a new corridor out to Cardinal Drive to help us get northbound traffic. So that these people that turn left here and they want to go north Woodland can come up, turn left, and work their way to where they need to be.
Or they could go up, turn left on Lehman.
The newly widened Lehman or Woodland Extension or whatever we,
Can I ask you a question on
Yes, sir.
Lehman? If you go up Dixie, you turn left on Lehman, then on the north side of Lehman, there's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, and counting the nursing home, 5 parking lots or driveways.
Yes, sir.
Coming out. Does that bother you at all as far as what your plans are on Lehman?
these close ones bother me, but not that we can't work through. I mean, anytime you get anywhere we're at in the city, you get an intersection, everybody turning left, and then an entrance to a parking lot, it creates problems.
Right now, unless that changes on the south side where the HMH parking lot is, you've got 3 or 4 there, so you
Yes.
could have, 8.
The good thing,
Driveways
the
coming
hospital, their first drive's here, so it's plenty of distance away from, and we
From the
look at,
right-hand turn lane.
we look at intersection is when we start looking at our trouble
Are
areas.
you gonna have to change any of those access points for the hospital parking lot there?
I'm not sure we're gonna have to change the actual access. What I would think is we'd want to, when we widen the road, widen it towards the hospital side. Yes, sir.
And Scott, just for the benefit, between Lehman and the red light at Ring Road, how many access roads off of Dixie are there over to Woodland?
I'm sorry, from where to,
From Lehman up to the red light at Ring Road?
there is Bankview, Gray,
Road.
Gray
Gray
and Knowles.
Street.
No, okay.
Yes, sir. And Bankview, you can turn left and go up.
And go up.
Brooks, what you said, I'm sorry. What Ed said. Sorry, I didn't hear you. So there's different ways to
Right.
get there. So, what we'd be proposing on this side, Hill Street comes here and turns, right before the hospital property, is creating a new 28-foot wide street through there. The Hill Street right of way is currently 40 feet. I'm sorry, it's 40 feet wide. So we'd be building a 28-foot wide street in our existing right of way.
With sidewalks.
With sidewalks, and with that, we would have to look at the parking capabilities of these 14 houses. There's at least one, if not two or three, that do not have driveways. So we're gonna have to address how we're gonna give those people access to driveways, to help them, because I wouldn't think we'd want anybody parking on that street. So we would have to look at that dynamic too, just to let you all know, that's one of the things that would go into that design. And then we're looking at bringing that right away on through and connecting to the Lehman Lane.
Scott, as
Yes,
point of reference, because we all know that Mercer is a kind of a wide street.
Yes, sir.
So how would the new Hill Street, how would it look compared to the way Mercer looks?
Mercer is, I went out and measured it today, it's 32, almost 32 and a half feet wide. So we would be looking at building 24 feet of pavement and then 2-foot curb and gutter. So,
Some of that difference is gonna be is that you can park on Mercer there.
Yes, sir.
You've got the
Yes,
extra
sir.
space,
Yes, sir.
whereas we're not gonna allow parking.
a 24-foot wide street in our, if we're building a brand new one now in a residential neighborhood, is non-parking.
It's not parking.
Yes, sir. It's a non-parking street. Is our new standards. It's cul-de-sacs, and if they build them 24 feet wide, 28 is where we start getting the parking. So 24 feet wide of pavement is a standard road width. That's two 12-foot lanes each direction. So, I mean, we're
How
talking
that-
sidewalks on each side. It could be, because this is the main entrance to the hospital, we might want to look at something a little bit different. 5-foot or 6-foot or 7-foot wide sidewalks.
Woodland has carried an awful lot of traffic over the years.
Yes,
So how
sir, it
wide
has.
is Woodland right now?
Woodland is, I didn't measure it today. It's kind of busy, but my guess is it's right at 24 feet.
Right at 24.
You don't get hit. I did not. I had an intern with me, so I didn't want him to get hit. I was safely on my side. So that's the proposed plan. Looking at cost, I'll pass this out to you all. This is just some preliminary, what it could cost for the,
These Charlie Bryan estimates.
you want them to be Charlie's or mine?
I think these are his.
Most of these
So what do you want to be?
Most of these guesstimates are my guesstimates at this moment.
And you know what? This has gone up $5,000 since this morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Inflation.
Inflation from this morning.
We voted on this morning.
Yeah.
Hey, you all gave me too much time to think about it. Engineers are always going to add numbers.
And for the audience, the grand total is a little less than $700,000.
No, 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 no.
No,
I was gonna go over
no,
this.
No, down here. Hill Street,
No, but I'm saying all the.
$679,500.
I was going to go over all this.
Oh, that's if we do everything all at once. Yeah, well.
So the layman improvements, we're looking at 765 feet of road, 1,500 feet of curb, 1,500 feet of, that's 5-foot sidewalks on both sides. And then the turning lane, we're looking at $230,000. Hill Street improvements, it's 1,360 feet of street improvements. With curb and sidewalks, we're looking at $421,000, rough numbers. And then this Hill Street temporary connection, what we're talking about doing is to get the traffic to start moving, get the hospital up and running for their addition, is to go ahead and make a temporary connection, some striping, some places that, wheel stops and things of that, to go ahead and get that connection started which would just be from the existing Hill Street over to the hospital parking lot, stripe it, get it up and going. We're looking at almost $30,000 to get that. So we can go ahead and get Hill Street functioning the way we would like for it to, get the hospital up and running, build. That gives us time to get the design finished, get everything the way that it needs to be properly, get it bid out, start building all these streets. So
Scott, what's your time frame, do you think, from design, from even doing the temporary to design to?
temporary, obviously we can start, getting the temporary built right now. Paving will have to wait till March or April. But we can have it ready for as soon as the asphalt plant opens to pave that. So that can be done in the next month and a half, 2 months. It will take that 2.5, 3, 4 months to design it. And then there's still property acquisition on Cardinal. So Cardinal's probably going to lag behind all of these, but we could probably, start construction later this year, beginning of next year for the Hill Street,
For the Hill Street.
Lehman Lane.
Budget wise, we're going to be in another budget cycle.
Yes, sir, we will. Now, we might, if we hire a consultant, we might get the consulting dollars now.
Right.
Need those now, but
A
as
lot of
far
those
as,
dollars are going to be.
as far as construction dollars, all those
Okay.
would be the next budget cycle. That's what we'd be looking at. So that's the plan is presented. I'm take any questions from anybody or any other.
Can we turn on the lights?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Okay,
The light is on.
I mean, for them.
I know. I was just trying to that shady, not.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Just come up to the podium and state your name.
My name is Trina Markham, and I live on Hill Street. And I don't ever watch the news. I don't
Sweetheart,
read the.
Can you speak up a little bit? Or is the microphone on there?
I know I couldn't hear very well over there. Okay, does anybody hear me now?
No.
No. Well, my name is Trina Markham, and I live on Hill Street, and I've been there for 14 years. And my question with this, I mean, I think it's great that, the hospital needs to expand, but I think it's kind of intruding on a lot of people, and me for one. There's children that play on our street, and if it's going to be like a breezeway and a flyway, because now cars that come off of Cardinal, they think they're getting on, it's not the Mercer, but the one at Long Street. They make a turn, well, they're flying up the street. We have children, and I know when they did this project 3 or 4 years ago, it took like 2.5 years. I live on a corner. They dug my hillside up that I'm supposed to maintain, even though it's the cities. And now all I have are big rocks on my hillside. They didn't really put the nice grass. All I have is weeds. But my question is, yeah, there's a lot of houses that don't have driveways, even though I do. So, I mean, and I guess when you're going to expand this road, does that mean that you're going to go into people's yards and kind of take more of their property and to have, this straightaway up through the hospital?
What did we do 2 or 3 years ago and leave?
Oh,
rocks?
they had to, at the front, like I live on the corner of Hill and Cardinal, so they had to come and expand right at about where I live across from Helmwood, and they made it was a 2-lane, they made it a 3-lane.
So that's the
So they had
state
to,
highway
yeah,
department.
that's the state, and they
Okay.
came and they had to move me back, which I have to maintain, and
Did you
but-
call them and tell them that
I-
that wasn't turned the way it was?
I did. And it's still the same. They have a lot of other issues, I was told
Oh,
last year. But I mean, my question is, our street, yes, Mercer does get a lot of traffic, but my street gets just as, probably maybe half that. But like I said, we have a lot of children, we don't have sidewalks. Everybody, a lot of people have to park out on the street because they don't have anywhere to park. So if you're going to come and expand our street, where's that going to leave you know, like a lot of people, and I guess they're gonna have to move in on me and my yard to make the sidewalks and the curbs. So, I mean, I just wanted to make that, I don't know where, I wanted to see exactly what they were talking about, because, you know, now the hospital pretty much is kind of taking over our area. So we're having to accommodate, you know, everybody getting to the hospital and getting out of the hospital, but we live on this street. That's all I want to say.
Okay, Scott, can you address her
I can
concerns?
address some of them, yes, ma'am. Like I said earlier, the existing right of way, which is the city, the property, or the property the city owns, I'm sorry, is 40 feet wide right now. So would you be losing front yard? Not that you don't already own, but it would be a perceived loss of front yard, because we're all sensitive to that, because
It's almost
Y-
up to my front
yeah,
door.
you're
as it is now.
maintaining, what you're maintaining now is city right away, as it is.
It's not that
Um,
much.
We would be looking at, through this project, adding sidewalks for that, to help.
And then the children can play on the sidewalks
right.
instead of the street.
And we would also be looking at, like I said earlier, any houses that do not have driveways, we'd have to figure out some kind of plan to help them park. So I hope that answers everything.
And I would just say that I hope that whatever we end up doing to Hill Street makes it a better street and not a lesser street.
Well, and
than
I
it
hope
is
so
now.
too.
I mean, that's what our, I think
We
that's
have a
what our.
pretty little street right
And I
now,
would
but we
think
have a lot
that,
of traffic going to.
I would think that we would have,
It really is.
once we get the design worked out, we would have a public meeting with everybody on Hill Street to show them this is what we're doing. This is what the street's going to look like. New pavement, new curb and gutter, new sidewalks, and we would owe them that. So we would do that.
Sure.
That's fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have any complaints, we strongly recommend you call the State Highway Department.
The mayor has
I'm
the
only
number.
kidding. I'm only kidding.
Good thought. I'm Bill Clark. I live at 314 Mercer Street and been there for 30 years plus. And Mayor Berger, thank you for having a session and allowing us to speak. City council people, Judge Barry, glad to see you here, and magistrates. I'm one of 25 property owners on Mercer Street, proud property owners. I think Hill Street has about half that. So I want to thank you for listening. I thank Scott for his presentation. I think we applaud this solution because Mercer Street, as he said, had 1,800, I think it was, traffic count on it. It is also a residential street with children, no sidewalks. I just want to say from the beginning, I've spoken with all the people on Mercer Street, and we're not opposed at all to the hospital expansion. We're not opposed to the extension of Patriot Parkway on out. That's definitely needed. And a hospital is very important to us. However, I think it was, as it was initially proposed, it lacked a lot. And I thank Ron Thomas for listening to me one day and coming up with this proposal. So we applaud the Hill Street option, which also you need to know, I think, if you rebuild Hill Street and curb and gutter it, you will be solving a flooding problem, because the water that now drains off the hospital parking lot and because Hill Street is not curb and gutted, all comes to the backyards of Mercer Street and forms a river and then collects at the bottom of Mercer Street and floods. You have to close it every once in a while because it floods right there. So that would eliminate some of that problem too, if you think about it. So I just want to say thanks because I think you've begun to listen to the people who've elected you, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Anybody else? Mr. Ham?
Thank you.
My name's Gary Ham. I'm with Apothecary Pharmacy, and we own a pharmacy in the Wolf and Yun building there. I'm not sure there's answers to some of my questions. Is there a time frame where this will be closed off once they build this temporary road? Scott, do you know?
Asking when
Uh,
when Woodland will be closed?
Yeah, what time frame? Do you have any kind of, say this is approved and you said
Yes,
you
sir.
could have this temporary road done really quickly.
I'm gonna be speaking for the hospital just a little bit, but they have some, to do the addition to the ER, that there are some major utilities that have to take place first.
Okay.
They have to move them out of the way to build the ER addition. So that would be the first thing I would think their contractor would be looking at. So
Steve,
we approve
do you
this.
want to address this?
Okay, I'm sorry.
And Scott, you're right on. I'm Steve White from the hospital, and because of that utility work, that is indeed one of the very first things that the hospital would have to look at doing to get those sewer fixed and dug out, relocated. So it would be at the very front end of our project when we move forward. And you know, that takes to be determined certainly by them.
So it could happen pretty quickly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it could happen pretty quickly. I guess the next question I had was, how do they plan, I know this is a change in the original plan, how do they plan on handling this intersection here? Is it going to be a four-way stop, or has that been determined?
That hasn't been determined. I would be inclined right now to say that we'd leave the Hill Layman as a straight through and stop the other two. But that could be well determined in the future.
But would probably change that curvature in the original plan. And the reason I asked this with the business here, and we'll have a cul-de-sac, I anticipate this road having a lot of traffic, so someone wanting to come down here to my pharmacy, they might have a situation there where it's hard to get through.
I think through, and I want to speak for Mr. Pope's department for a few minutes, but I would think that we would help both the Woodland Medical District and this side of Woodland down to the hospital with signage that would actually allow people to know that the pharmacy and Wolf and Yun and the hospital, radiology, women's care center, whatever's down that way, that's the right way to go for all of those. We do that through signage.
That was one of the proposals that we saw Monday night. It did include some kind of pylon sign.
I think some kind of monument sign out there with business names is going to be the best.
So you think that might stay there? That was what was in the original plan.
A nice
Yeah,
permanent sign
okay,
to define the medical district.
okay. Few more just quick questions. You say you plan on leaving all the entrances to the parking lots here, the nursing home and all that? And how-
We would look at those and work with those businesses.
that's not a definite.
It's hard for me to say.
It's hard to
at this
say
point.
because like I guess someone else mentioned and I noticed, so the hospital only has one entrance
I
off,
believe they have three current.
three to that parking lot off of Layman. And then the other side has several. I was just trying to imagine the traffic flow, people trying to get in and out of there. I have one last question. How does the hospital feel about this? I mean, is this the first time they've seen this too? I mean, I know this is a working session. I guess before we get too far along, and I guess hopefully it's okay with the hospital, this plan or somewhat. And then I guess the last comment I would have is, being that the pharmacy and Wolf and Yun are down here on the cul-de-sac, we've been called the destination location, and I would just challenge that terminology. I don't know who came up with that, but just my experience in being in business in 18 years, if you're not on, if you don't have the visibility in the traffic, it's a challenge for your business. I have no way of knowing how it'll affect my business, whether it will affect it. I'm leaning towards it will affect it over a period of time. And I just don't think anyone that's in business maybe a few exceptions, would want to be at the end of a cul-de-sac. But certainly I would speak also with, you know, we never, we understand the hospital needs to expand, and we were never, you know, against the hospital expanding. And I think this particular plan does address some concerns that we have, and hopefully we can work out a compromise here that works for everyone. That's all.
Do you think the increase patient load in the ER, bringing more people outside of your business there, will that help offset that any more exposure from more business in the ER?
Well, I thought of that, but I don't think anyone's going to be able to get from the ER over to our pharmacy now, the way this is designed. I mean, I don't see, I mean, this is the ambulance area. This is the patient area. How are they going to get there? They're just going to have to do a great big U-turn to get there. I mean, I may be wrong.
The little part there that comes in the back of that building, is that still going to be, is that part of the access too that would help access off of Cardinal right up there?
No,
Off
they
that
don't
property
want-
you
Dr. Wolf and you don't want that open.
now?
No.
Okay.
If I could just, to that point.
Certainly.
How that cul-de-sac, at least is currently designed, it would facilitate traffic, foot traffic certainly, across from the hospital much better than it is today.
Can
So
walk right
certainly
out
there
of the
would be a
emergency
certain
room.
amount of foot traffic that would be more easily accommodated. Driving traffic through that particular area, not so much because of it being closed off there, but certainly could go up the new or whatever major stuff.
Well, Steve, you probably can't see, but am I correct? Is this going to be the patient kind of cul-de-sac for the ER?
Yes, that's.
So
what we-
someone leaving the ER wanted to come to my pharmacy. I'm not seeing how even they could walk.
They walk out of the emergency room though, at the back. That's the ambulance entrance where you're seeing the loop, right there. That's the ambulance entrance
that's
and
patient.
cars
That's
and
patient.
ambulances too.
Ambulance is over here, right?
Oh, the ambulances are on the
You're
end
closer
loop,
to the ambulance.
right.
Yes. So, I mean, you're not gonna let people walk across where ambulances are coming in. So they'd have to go back in the hospital somehow and come out. How, I don't know. I can't hardly navigate through the hospital anymore. I worked there 20 years ago. I can't even find the pharmacy, and it's never moved.
Mr. Tram, I wrote down some of your concerns, and since we're kind of thinking out loud,
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you on it. I think this is a good plan that meets the needs of a lot of different
Mhm.
moving parts. I'm also concerned about, and that's the reason why I made the point a while ago about all the driveways and all the entrances on that side of Lehman Lane. I think that is probably going to create a problem if traffic picks up on Lehman Lane. Talking about the signage and how people are going to know to get down to you.
Mhm.
You know, if this were free road day and roads were free, and I know we haven't got all of our numbers and everything, and it's going to be some time before we do that, but I would certainly hope that we would look at a roundabout where all the roads point and intersect there, to where Lehman and Woodland and Hill, and then the Woodland extension that comes down towards your business. I would like to see us look at maybe a roundabout there to kind of keep
Right.
traffic moving. Don't know what kind of expense that is going to incur, but I think that is a kind of a perfect setup right there for a nice roundabout that expresses that is the entrance to the HMH campus.
Mhm.
I do agree that the one person that we need to be concerned about, if there is one particular, and I know that Hill Street residents do think that maybe this could affect them, and surely it's going to affect them, but like I said, I hope that we make improvements to that area and instead of hurting that area. But you're right, your business is no longer on a main thoroughfare, it's on a hospital campus. And I think one thing that you should work with the hospital and we should work with both of you on is how do we make that work?
Mhm. And that is one of my concerns. I feel like that once this is done, when someone gets to that intersection, they'll think they're entering hospital property, and if they don't have hospital business, they're not going to go back that
I
way.
think I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I'm, you know, and I know this is just a preliminary plan. I think it works for most everybody. I have another business up Woodland Drive and I have a house on Mercer. And for those two aspects, I really like it. All things considered, somebody's going to have to give, and overall, I think it looks like a good plan. And I was just bringing up some concerns, and I know it's probably too early to even tell what's going to happen with those concerns,
It's not
but
too early to think
yeah.
about it. And I apologize, because
Yeah.
I think I'm the one at one of our previous meetings asked you if you classified your business as a destination
Yeah.
location. But
I don't think you came up with that terminology,
no, I
though.
didn't, but
Somebody
I
else
asked you
did, yeah.
how you
Yeah.
define your business. And if
Yeah.
that's the way you define it. You said no.
Right,
You
right,
said no.
right.
Obviously, the customers that you have that are loyal customers are going to
Mhm.
continue to find you, but you don't want to exist your business on loyal customers. You also want to have new customers.
Right.
So I think you're right. I think there's a way that we need to look at that, and we need to see if there's a way that it's easy for pedestrian traffic at least to get to
Mhm.
your location, that we look at signage up that end that says, yes, there's a pharmacy down here.
Mhm.
You know, I'm not sure what the answers
Right.
are, but I do think it's something that we all
Right.
need to be concerned about and think a little bit about.
Right. And I would like to just finish with one more comment since you brought that up. We do have customers or patients every day coming from the hospital, and we had a few today that were seeing physicians in the hospital, and they said run over to the pharmacy and get that real quickly.
Right.
So we are looking forward to working with the hospital. Certainly they're important to my business, but we do help them also. So unless someone had a question for me, that's all the comments I had. Thank you.
I'd like to echo what Gary said. I know you guys are probably tired of seeing it.
No, you want to come up here and tell everybody who you are? There might be somebody in this room that doesn't know you.
Somebody you didn't deliver.
I'd like to echo what Gary has said. We've been working together for 6-7 months as a group in an area, and this addresses most of the questions we had. We were concerned about access from the west and access from the south into the Woodland Corridor area. This addresses that. The big key factor here is going to be timing and how this road is done to coincide with the closure of Woodland. That's something that only the state and the city and the county can work on together, and that would impact everybody in the area. I'm concerned about the extra traffic going in Lehman. I'm concerned about access into the nursing home there. But I think time will tell us whether that's big enough to handle that or not. And it may be that at some point in the future we'll have to alter that. But for the time being, I think this addresses the concerns of the community that got together and submitted 2,500 signatures to you all. So thank you for your efforts. Thank you for your willingness to work with us and work with your counterparts at the county level.
Thank you. Anybody else? Right. Anybody else up here?
I think Terry had a good point about that roundabout at the intersection of Woodland. It also slowed the traffic down a little bit there instead of just a straight shot. That's something that needs to be.
That was
looked
in
at.
one of the drawings
Yes, it was.
early
It was in
on.
one of them.
That was before you all came aboard, but we'll show you that.
So, and is the hospital, do they like the plan? Is this doable and workable for you?
Steve, will you come up here for just a minute? Because I apparently have misunderstood. I was under the impression this is where the ambulance is going in.
This is actually patient drop off. So this would be
Okay.
when you and I drove our little jet up to the hospital and had to drop off. This is
Right.
actually the canopy right here for the ambulances. And this is the ambulance drop off.
Okay, so if you go in, then are you going to be able to walk out, like the nurses out of the emergency room? Is there a place to walk to cross here to the parking lot? Where will they come across?
So we have a number of different exits along this area. This is our diagnostic imaging area. So there's a number of different ways there. And in the new design, not 100% sure where those exits are, but there certainly are the exits here. I believe it's pretty solid around this corner with no exits. And then I'm not, certainly exits for the ambulance drivers and the trauma entrance.
Okay, So you'll still be able to walk out of the Women's Diagnostic
Mhm.
Center. You'll still be able to
You bet.
cross
Uh-huh.
and go up to the parking lot or cross over this way.
Absolutely.
To, Gary's, where Gary's business is.
That's correct. And in
Okay.
fact, though this doesn't show the cul-de-sac, the cul-de-sac intentionally, at least the way it's designed today, and that could land somewhere different. It's got a provision for a sidewalk around it and a definite railing around it to make sure that it's visually, it appears to be what it is.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different. Like I said, that cul-de-sac is not depicted on that drawing.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Hey, is that it? Anybody have anything else about anything else?
Mayor, I would just like to say, you know, I applaud the businesses, the citizens, the hospital, the court, the trustees, the council. We said from the get-go that when this plan was presented, probably what it was going to take was compromise on all parties. Hopefully, we have accommodated that, and we have still said that we want better or equal access. This can be fine-tuned. I commend everybody that has been involved in this and shows what we can do when we work together and listen to the citizens.
Thank you, Ron. Okay, then,
Mayor, if I might?
Yes.
Just have one comment that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. It has nothing to do with Woodland Drive, but you may have noticed in this morning's paper, News Enterprise said that the city had received an award as one of the 10 safest cities in Kentucky. And we thank our sheriff's department in the county. Thank Chief Schiller for all that he's done for that. But what I found that was really astounding was that as soon as the notification went to Chief Schiller, who did he immediately give credit to? And he gave the credit to the citizens of Elizabethtown. And that's just the kind of chief we have. And I just thought it was a wonderful thing. And it's because of your attitude and it's because of the way that you're running the department. I just can't say enough. I just hear wonderful things about the Elizabethtown Police Department everywhere I go. And that's just another example. So I just want to congratulate you and the staff on that.
okay, before you go, the downtown, yeah,
I want to say one thing.
yeah.
Back on Woodland Drive, I think what our next step needs to be is we need to get together and work out an agreement with the county so they're assured of what the city is going to do, and we're assured that we can get the right of ways that we're needing, if assuming that we have a concept here that everyone's in agreement with.
All right, and do you want to do that before Monday night's meeting, before we vote?
We'll see if we can get at least a preliminary worked out by then, yes.
Okay, and it's not Monday night's meeting. I'm sorry, you all, it's Tuesday night because of Martin Luther King Day. And also Wednesday night here at 5 o'clock, we'll have a presentation from City Visions. So you'll all want to come to that. And you all are invited also Wednesday night here at 5 o'clock and next Tuesday night at 4:30. Thank you. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Ed Pope
Yeah.
take the video.
How much that cost you?